Hello everybody, this is Renaissance Craft, and today we will be talking about two-point perspective. So we made another video about one-point perspective. Today we'll be talking about two-point. Two-point perspective is very simply 2 points that create basically the depth and the view of the object. Most two-point perspective creates the horizon line. There are a few two-point perspectives that can actually create just the shape and the depth within itself. That usually goes into something else. So for the sake of this video, we're just doing the basic two-point perspective that creates the horizon line, and anything from there will be popping from that. So these 2 points, much like one-point perspective that we discussed, will be creating the depth and the foreshortening of those objects. So as you see here, we just made a very, very simple box. So you have, as you can see, one line here, a line here, and then a line here, and a line here. Basically are crisscrossing, and then I'm just taking horizontal lines where they crisscross at the first point here, and then just creating basically random horizontal lines of how deep and the width of the box that I want to create. And then from where those points meet here and here, and drawing the line back, as you can see, and these here and here, drawing the line from where these 2 points meet, and then where they crisscross, you get 2 more points, what creates that line, and then the depth of the box. So if you had a see-through box or a glass box or a box that had an opening, you would be able to see some of these points, and you know where they are from just about 8 lines. So it's very simple. All the depth lines or foreshortening lines meet at 1 point, or the first point or the second point. That's the very basic 2-point perspective. Now, if you look here, this is same thing, just a little bit lower horizon line. And when you think about the horizon line, much like in the 1-point perspective, depending on where you put that point, that is kind of where your eye level is. That's what the horizon line is kind of representing, is where your eye level is in depth. So what you have is same basic thing. All we're creating is lines, everything from this line back moves this way. It feels like the depth is going this way, and everything from, this line this way, everything feels to be going that way. And then obviously you see some of these buildings are popping out more behind that, so you still have to measure from here to here. But this is just a basic street view. You're at the corner of it and you're looking down one street and then down the other, and you can see how with a little bit of lighting, a little bit of shade, it would really pop as depth. You add some windows and doors. I didn't want to go into too much detail. I just wanted to show the basic lines so you can really feel how a couple lines can create that depth. Now if you look at this line right here, the horizon line, it kind of flattens it out here. You take that out, it's going to feel like everything's going back to those from this main point. Your main focus is everything's foreshortening from there and going back, and everything's coming forward to you. So you almost feel like you're standing about right there. You're just standing there looking at that. And that's kind of what 2-point perspective it is. For all intent and purposes, it is really a glorified, simplistic view of how we kind of see the world at angles, foreshortening, and depth. Both 1-point and 2-point perspective aren't correct whatsoever on how we actually see the world, but our mental image of that clarifies all the glaring so-called perfections within one and 2-point perspective. We will actually create irregularities to make us believe this is, almost a truth of how we see, or we'll convince ourselves that this is, a somewhat reality. So you can create 1 or 2-point perspective, put objects and things in there, and all of a sudden people will believe it's a true depth of space. Now you can, instead of just creating cityscapes, landscapes, whatever else, you can actually do a very simple room. So all we did is we created, a line here, a line down here, and here, and this just basically created a box. And then once the box was complete, I took out this line. I tried to leave it in lightly. I hope you can see that. But I took out this line and then just had the depth of the box as my actual room. And then I added these little brackets to try to show you, hey, look, see, this is, actual thickness here. This is an actual wall and floor and ceiling. And then I created a little object inside and a little box to show you that, I left this line, that line would be gone, but I left it so you could see the box. And then the object actually inside, you can see would go back with the depth, and, who knows what it is, but it kind of gives you that, oh, okay, I'm walking into a space, I'm walking into the depth of a room at a very strange kind of obscure angle. And sometimes that's what 2-point perspective can actually do. Now, there's other times where when you center focus everything and it's just coming out, it's much like 1-point perspective, but you feel like everything is moving, a certain way. So, like I said, it is a glorified, simplistic version of how we actually perceive the world or see. It is inaccurate completely, but your eyes will trick you to see what you want. So further, I'll just do a very, very quick example because we only got a couple more minutes. And you're going to take 2 dots with a horizon line, and then from those, you're just creating a few lines, and then from there you're going to say, okay, these lines connect there. Now I'm just going to create, if you have something that you really need to do, then you can create whatever you want, but we're just creating 2 random horizontal lines, and then from there we're just going to create these back and these back here, so you can kind of see. And then from where that line and this line match up, and then this line and this line match up, you get another line here. Now you got yourself a very simple 3-dimensional 2-point perspective box. It's obviously not very pretty, but you can kind of see that that's the inside wall, that's the inside roof, that's the back inside wall, and that's the floor. So, it's just a few lines creating something that looks 3D, something that looks like it has depth and that you can touch. Now, there's a lot you can do, cityscapes, rooms, creating objects. You could do multiple things with 2-point perspective. A great way to think about 1-point perspective is you put a little hole in a piece of fabric or a wall, and then you look through that wall, and you can pretty much design everything to go back into 1 point. With 2-point perspective, you got to think about everything, going to 2 vanishing points to 1 and 2, and how everything comes off of those to create the depth itself. but it's still, you could still say, okay, you're creating two holes, and you're looking through those two holes at one angle and then another angle, and it's doing the exact same thing as the 1 point perspective, where this hole you're looking at from this way, this hole you're looking at from that way, and then you're kind of combining it, and it's creating that. But the best way to think about it is you just got the horizon line here with 2 points here, creating the foreshortening and the perspective itself. I am Renaissance Craft. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.